Okay, I think we're live. It's the first time doing this here, so you have to bear with me while I wake up the kinks. All right, I think we are live. Hi. Oop, I've got echo here. Let me fix that. Okay, fix that. Hi, Sindhu. Nice to meet you. Okay, so this is the idea. This is the plan here is to do this monthly. I've done a lot of thinking about this, and I there's a lot of workshops happening, a lot of ways to connect with architectural photographers lately, and some of them are a little bit hard to access. So I wanted to make something that was easy to access, was open to architectural photographers, architects, designers, anybody with an interest in the medium, to be able to ask questions to somebody like me. I plan on teaming up with some people in the months to come so that we have maybe an architect along with me or another architectural photographer from a different background or from a different location. And yeah, the plan is just to answer questions, portfolio reviews, questions about your career, questions about how to hire an architectural photographer or what to look for, or what it's like in your market, whatever you guys want to talk about. I want to be here to talk about and just go through it. So the idea is 6 a.m. in Jordan, Oregon. Hi everybody. You guys are all so kind to tune in. I'm hoping that we can answer some questions. Georgi's here. He made it. He made his 3:50 alarm clock. Well done, my friend. You must still be in bed, I hope. So here's the deal. I have a Zoom meeting going here, and I'm gonna drop the Zoom kind of details in the chat here, and if you want to come in and chat, you're welcome to at any point. You're also more than welcome to ask questions, link things in chat, whatever you want, and I can try to dive in here. So I'm gonna copy some stuff into the chat here quickly. Costa Rica's here. All right, so this is the Zoom link with the meeting passcode is going to be here. I just have to manually type that out. That's annoying. All right, so there you go. If anyone wants to, you woke up before the alarm clock. I do that a lot, Gary. When I have a shoot, I set my alarm for some random time and wake up 5 minutes before it. Every once in a while, it saves me though. So there y'all are. If anyone wants to jump into Zoom and come on in, I guess I just have to admit y'all, huh? Ian, Brandon. I don't know if I need to unmute you all or anything, but you're probably hearing 2 copies of me now. Hi, Ian. How are you? Good. I think I can hear you, so you must have audio going there. I'm going to turn up my volume just a little bit. Yeah. What do you got? Awesome. You don't have anything to ask about right off the bat? Oop. I think I'm looping back through your audio, so through somebody's audio. Actually, I'm not sure. It could be Carlton as well. Hi, Carlton. Yeah, you sounded good. You sounded good. Yeah, I don't hear any feedback anymore, so another Kyle is jumping in. Okay, I'm going to simultaneously try to monitor the chat over here. I think it's working. Daniel, who can't you hear? Oh, they can't hear you guys. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this in OBS here. One moment. I need to maybe have another desktop audio faded up somehow. Sorry guys, again, first time. I'm not sure how to capture desktop audio. Bear with me for just a moment. There's always these days, man. It's like I feel like the pandemic should have trained us better in how to solve the 52 audio problems that come along, you know? Graham, Geary. All right, I'm letting everybody in. You can go crazy. Audio. Aha, okay. I'm getting closer. Hi, Graham. I'm doing good. It's good to see you too. Look, I have a picture of Graham right here in my pile of Polaroids on my desk. Sorry, everybody. Somebody's looping back again. No worries. Good morning. How are you? But you're here. All right. Do any of you have a question that we can get started with? I can just restate the question and we can go from there. Nobody has a question. No specific question. Georgi, can you tell me how to pronounce your name? I feel like I'm doing it wrong. Just George. Okay. Got it. George. Okay, we'll call you George. George, you wanted me to look at your website. Is that correct? Earlier? Do you want to do that? We can do that. All right, I think I've got you. Yes. I'm going to pull it up on screen here. All right, so we're going to take a look at George's website, which is loading here. He is an architectural photographer based in Hungary, correct? Yes? And you've been doing this for how long? 10th year. And you've done a bunch of workshops with folks like Mike and Simon and people like that, yeah? Okay, got it. I see. Well, George, if you don't all follow him, he's very prolific. He's one of the most prolific people that I am aware of. He works very hard and travels a lot, gets up early, moves around, and then when he isn't working, he's making more pictures for himself. I'm assuming that since I'm both down and up on this screen, on this stream, that I'm just having a hard time with web speed right now. So I'm going to apologize again for that. I don't know why this isn't loading. I've looked at your website before and it loaded right away, so. Yes, it should be. Let me throw another tab over here and just see if I'm loading other websites quickly or not. Man, not so much. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I'm not having a lot of trouble with other. This is my website. Yeah, I don't know what is taking so long here. We're off to a flying start. So, desktop audio. You can hear them, but it's too quiet. Okay. Hey Frank, hey Amanda. No, I appreciate that you're trying to be quiet. Yeah, something's going on with my desktop audio and I'm not sure how to fix it. So for now, I'm just going to relay the questions and talk through it here. Um, so, George, you have recently redone this website completely? Okay, very nice. And what would you say your goal is for, like, what do you want the website to do for you? Okay. So you're trying to expand your market into a bigger, you do okay. But the majority is in Hungary? All right. So George says most of his work is in Hungary, but he's trying to expand to larger Europe. And what other strategies besides this website do you employ to kind of try to expand your network into other countries? Okay. Okay. Hmm. I see. Okay. I see. Um, you know, I think there are sort of two schools of thought with websites, and one is to use it as a way for people to verify that you've done the kind of work right. Like, for whatever reason, in architectural photography, people get really, um, sorry, clients get really like into the fact that you've done it before, right? So if you want to shoot a hospital or a sports arena, they like to see that you've done it before. So, there's some value in this approach, which you have here, which is, you have portfolios of various types of work. Um, there's sort of the other side of the sword is that it's very easy to get overwhelmed and lost in it really quickly, and the images become a little less powerful when you have so many to look at all at once, and they're all kind of postage stamps and they're all being constrained to a grid like this. I can see that some of these are slightly cropped just because of the fact that they had to fit into the this so both approaches have just to have a very clean portfolio with just your most powerful work, and then a way to then dive in a little deeper. I try to keep my I'm just going to go back to your sort of home page here and let it load separately. Yeah, so you have this smart idea. You have Harpa, you have in Iceland, you have, I'm not sure where this is, but you have some very big, punchy, powerful images right out of the gate. And then they do cycle faster than they can load here on my computer for whatever reason. But I think that's a good way to land. I do think I've looked through this website before, and I'm very interested, and I don't think I made it through all of it. So I do think you might think about curating it even more. People like Mike Kelly would tell you just need 20 images on your website. I don't subscribe to that, but I do think that I have a similar kind of the way you land is you're landing in a pool of images. I haven't updated my website since 2018, but and then I have some select projects, and then I have various ways to scroll through different project typologies. I became a little bit like impatient with some clients when I was gaining a lot of clients asking me for very specific portfolios. And so I ended up expanding my website and having having a residential section so that I could just aim them at my website rather than having to make some big PDF for them each time. Pending the client, I will still do that. I will still make a tailored portfolio for a new client if they're like, hey, we have this big thing we want you to shoot, and we just want to see that you've done higher education or athletics or whatever kind of work. I will, if it's something really exciting and important, I will do that. If it's someone saying, hey, we want you to shoot a healthcare project in suburban wherever, and I want to shoot it, but it's not going to make or break my year, I will, I'll just say, here you go, here's the healthcare section of my portfolio. You can find half a dozen jobs there. And if you need more than that, please return. And usually that kind of scratches the itch for them so that they don't need to, that I don't have to, because oftentimes I'm traveling and I just don't have the time to make curated portfolios for everybody. So yeah, I would just say be careful with, so many portfolios, so many different tabs. I also, commissioned work is tricky because as soon as I see that someone has a commissioned work section of their website, it makes me question everything else on the website. I think that you're selling your eye, and it doesn't really matter what was commissioned and what was something that you shot when you were in town because you were interested in architecture, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I see. Okay. So to recap for everyone who can't hear George, he's saying he's kind of covering bases by having this commissioned work section of the website by putting basically everything he shoots somewhere on there in a way that it's findable so that he doesn't have to spend time diving back into portfolios to update or to pull a job to show somebody. I'm thinking that Tonu has a good example of. I think he's somebody who sort of also archives everything. Yeah. Yeah, so here's Tonu. So here you go. He has all of his work archived here, and it's done in a very clean way where I'm not being attacked by 20 different portfolios. He still has this sort of just landing page, and then you can get down in here, and it's even sortable by all these things. It's very impressive. I'm jealous of this website actually because it would be very nice to be able to just aim people at whatever project it was, particularly when it comes to usage, right? If you have a furniture company reach out and say, hey, we're looking at this, can we talk to you about usage of this project? of these images, rather than having to make a portfolio every single time. I could just say, yeah, go ahead, it's on the website, here's a link, and you can tell me which images you want, rather than having to constantly every week be making usage request PDFs and explaining how it works. But I have 750 jobs that I've shot in the last 10 years or whatever, 800 or whatever it is now. So it would get muddy really quickly. So, but this is a very beautiful and clean website. So, yes. Sorry everybody. So just to recap what's happening here, it's the first time I've been using this OBS, the streaming software, and for whatever reason it's reading my mic audio but not my desktop audio, and I've of course just run into a dead end here with an empty bar when I go into the settings. So I don't know that I'm going to be able to get it fixed tonight, but I will certainly try to get it fixed for next month, and I'll just try to recap whatever folks are saying in the Zoom meeting. There are a whole bunch of other people who are looking to Andre. Awesome. Looking to come in here. I'll let everybody in. And if anybody else has, I guess if you join along to the Zoom meeting, you can definitely hear. So how's that, George? Does that answer a little bit of some questions? Yeah. I'm just going to, yeah, thank you for muting yourself. Okay, I'm just catching a couple people that are feeding back here for me. Yes. Building the vision. Okay. So George has asked that we just look at this building the vision section of the website here and give him a little bit of feedback on it specifically. So these are from construction to completion sort of portfolios. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah. So here he's gone and photographed. What I don't know that, and he's just wondering if it's too many images or whatever. This is a wonderful project, by the way, this Hungarian House of Music. Okay, and I got some people feeding back. I'm gonna just mute a couple more people and admit some more as well. Thank you all for joining. The stadiums are the ones you're looking for? Okay. Got it. Okay. Perfect. Let me backtrack then. Okay. And how did you gain access to the sites and all that? You were commissioned to do them from start to finish. That's amazing that you have clients that see the value in do you enjoy it, I'm assuming? Yeah, I love it. I only have a couple of clients who are doing this with me, having me go out to sites throughout the process. I think it's invaluable. I think it's invaluable to the architect because a especially with like athletic kind of, or not athletic, acrobatic designs, right? Designs that are very gestural and less like glass and steel, and you get all these moments, right, where you see this like this core of the building come together, the bones, but really you see these like just design moves happen in a very clean way before all the stuff gets put on the outside of the building, and it helps the viewer, when they're included in a set of images, it helps the viewer understand really like how this design is really interesting. It also allows the architect to start talking about it months, years before it's complete, right? Rather than having to wait on final images, they can lecture, they can teach, they can pitch, more projects with very strong images years before the project is complete on these big projects. Which, I have clients who are doing these international projects, and they're lecturing all over the world at different colleges and museums and things like that. And they've told me, that it allows them to talk about an incomplete design in a complete way. So, I think this is a wonderful thing when clients let you do it. I don't know what it is that prevents more clients from doing it. I don't know if it's just that mostly the money, just it costs money to do. You're right about that, right? There's already a hard time getting them to pay always for good photography at the end of the project. To play devil's advocate there, I would argue that there are so many interested parties that it seems it's not. Okay. So the construction firms, you're saying? I see. I see. So George is saying that other people rather than architects have commissioned him, such as the metal fabrication company or the metal company. I see. Hmm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it is because it all gets hidden. It all gets covered up, right? Um, yeah. Right. There's no way back, and then we all can walk by the building and photograph it after it's complete. But yes, uh, it is something I think that is very interesting, and I think it would be wonderful if we could all do it more. I think that with strong examples of it, even back to Iwan Ban photographing CCTV in China way back, right? That kind of put him on the map. It's like some of these projects deserve it. Not every single one, but you know, some of these projects deserve it. And I think that architects, builders, fabricators, there are so many people involved that would benefit from these images. Um, that I think it's a good thing to pursue. Um, I think that more people doing it and more people having good examples of good work. So many people are taking iPhone photos on site, but they don't have the vision. They don't have you know, they're there when they're there. They're not coming at certain times of day when the steel looks good or when the shadows are right or whatever you have it. This is far too many images. You're right. Um, I don't think you need to put 100 photographs on here. They're very nice, but I would be much more interested in a set of 20 images that I could like digest the building in. No, I understand. Yeah, I understand. I think it's because I'm streaming and yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, 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 sure. Yeah, yeah. Of course. It's very nice to talk to you, George. I would love to talk more about it whenever. Um, let's see. Let me run back to the uh, like 50 different programs open here. Um, Zoom and YouTube. Okay, it looks like most of you all are understanding that there's a Zoom meeting happening. I've put the Zoom link here in the chat for the YouTube chat. So if anybody hasn't got it, you should be able to scroll up, get the Zoom link, get the meeting passcode, and jump into the Zoom to be able to hear. Sorry, there's some delays. I'll try to fix this by next month. I didn't anticipate this problem. Who is next? Does anyone else have a question? Yeah, I can hear you, Christopher. How are you? Hmm. I agree. Yeah. Hmm. Sure. Yeah, I can. Uh, Chris Murray Productions. Sure. Hmm. Great. Hmm. Hmm. I do understand. I think that's if anyone isn't in the Zoom chat, I'm just going to quickly summarize. Chris is saying he's got a print portfolio and he's going to be mailing some things out, but he wants to have the website ready and he's just sort of at a stalemate with his own work. Um, I hear you. Yeah, there's a reason I haven't updated my website since 2018, and it's because I just every winter I start a new uh, effort to update my website, and I just I look at the work and I think, oh, this could have been better, and then I get I run down in 20 different directions, and I should just pay someone to do it, and they can curate with me and they can have ideas and I can agree with them. But it is difficult to you've shot a lot of work. You don't know what to show, what not to show, how much is too much, if you even like the stuff that you did, because now you're a better photographer and you could have done better today. um, I hear you. So yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And just to say one other thing, I fully agree with you about I don't appreciate adversarial relationships with photography. I know that there's only so many clients and there's only so much work. And I have had plenty of times where I was looking forward to photographing a project. I thought I had it. Someone else got it. Oh God, Zoom is gonna kick me off here because it's a 40-minute limit. Um, anyways, I'm gonna fix this. Okay. Um, yeah, I come from a photography studio called Hedrick Blessing. I don't know if you all know about it, but I won't give you the whole history. But it was an old photography studio from 1929. I joined it in 2009 and worked there until 2016. I was an apprentice and became a photographer, and it was the best. I have one of the old jobs here from when we used to deliver our jobs. You're talking about print. We used to deliver for every job we had. We used to deliver a like a portfolio that had the set of prints in it, numbered, labeled, everything like that. It had a printed CD with the work on it. we had hundreds of those going out a year between the photographers, and but we had a staff and stuff to do all that. But those are the old days. They were great. But yeah, I you know, I think that the more we work together, the better the work gets as a whole. And you know, the best people will always rise to the top and have work to do. But I don't think that it's beneficial to just tear each other down, to be talking bad about other photographers behind their back, etc. I'd much rather, you know, see a friend get a job and me not get it than be angry at everyone all the time. So okay, so back to the website. Home exteriors 1, exteriors 2, interiors 1, interiors 2. I would find a way to organize this that's more like consumable to a client. You know, I think you want to be able to think through who's going to be looking at your website. You know, if it's a client and they're looking at it, I think they're going to want to be able to digest it in a way where they can glance over at the menu and see, you know, oh, this is what I want to see, right? Like I want to see, you know, residential interiors, or I want to see, you know, corporate interiors, or I want to see, you know, exteriors 1, exteriors 2, and then you have tall buildings, which is like also exteriors. Like I would find a way to organize it in a better way. A nice shot in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. I see. Yeah, I would. Sorry, I'm just letting a bunch more people in. Hey, Josh. I would think about it. I mean, you could even, you know, make a quick print of all your things and just organize them like out on the table in front of you, and then think about, you know, what kind of work you want. Make the categories kind of aim toward that. You know, I had a photographer, a mentor, when I was an apprentice, tell me, you know, I was thinking like, oh, there's this new building, it's this condo thing in Chicago. I'm gonna go and shoot it from portfolio. And he's like, don't shoot that. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because you don't want to shoot that kind of work. You know, you want to shoot the kind of work you want to shoot, and you want to show the kind of work you want to shoot. Like people, if people see the kind of work you make, they're going to assume that's what you're capable of. So like, don't show anything you don't want to do. You know, aim high so that people can see like, oh, if you can do that, you know, you can definitely do the project I'm working on. So yeah, I would just try to be very deliberate with with how you label things and like what you actually put on the website, you know? Mm-hmm. Nice. Sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I think I'm gonna go ahead and mute a couple more people quick. Yes, I I hear you. Hospitals are particularly hard because for whatever reason, people think that you can't shoot a CT scan unless you've shot a CT scan before. It's like it's just a room with a machine in it, you know. Um, but yes, it does help to have specific examples of whatever the thing is that you want to shoot. So, um, my pleasure, Chris. Um, so the bad news is that the Zoom call is going to end in 4 minutes. So I wonder if we should just make a new one right now, cycle a new one in here, and just try to get everyone in before we start on to the next question. Sorry, again, I clearly need to figure some of these bumps out here, and we'll get it fixed for next time. But all right, I'm gonna end this one, and I'll start a new one right now. I'll throw the link in the chat again, and we'll move on to the next question. Thank you guys. One sec. I'll be right back. Oh my God, give me a break. I guess I need to upgrade to Zoom Pro, huh guys? That's what they're gonna make me do? It's rude. You guys, nothing can be easy, can it? All right, let me just avoid like showing you guys my credit card information, and I'll quickly buy Zoom here. Sorry, guys. We're halfway there already. I tell you what, I think we're there. What kind of amateur operation are you running over here? Thanks, guys. You're really so kind to me. We're working the kinks out, okay? We're working the kinks out. Okay. Hopefully we're good to go. New meeting. Okay. Invite link is copied and going in YouTube now. I'm not sure if there's a code here. Participants are rolling on in, it looks like. All right, admitting, admit all. There's a button for it. Sorry, guys. That was pretty quick, though. Only cost me $15 a month or something, too, so. I guess so. Yeah. Everyone is. Let's turn mics off until. Oh, I can just mute all. Look at that. There's a button for it. I'm learning. You guys are quick. I'm impressed. All right, going back over here. Did anyone have any questions in the... I don't know. You guys have mostly transitioned over to... Get muted. Okay. Okay. Anybody else have questions? I'll let you unmute. You guys are fast. We'll work out the kinks in February. It's just the first one of the year. All right. Who's next? Anybody? You can just go. What do you... I can. Jeff? Is that... It's going well. How are you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. I can answer that question. Um, so my standard usage agreement covers multiple client privileges for my client up to the cost of the shoot or until a year goes by. So what that means is that when someone hires me, if the bill is for a day $5,000, I encourage them to offset their cost by bringing in another participant or two or whatever, right? So if I'm shooting a big project, oftentimes my client has it paid for before they even have the shoot, started. So then beyond that, um, I so yeah, I used to have two different rates, right? I had just a straight up architecture rate. You work with me, you get the pictures, and then everyone else is third party. Um, and then I had the multiple client rate, which is more expensive. I got rid of the architecture rate and just put made my multiple client rate even more expensive because I don't like dealing with a ton of third parties all the time. I know people that are photographers that do the like base rate plus 20% per each participant, and all they do in their life is like just chase six parties down every single job, trying to get their $400 from each of them or whatever. Um, so yeah, so what I do is what I said, and then I still probably every week at least get a third party usage request. Sometimes like with big stadiums and stuff, I have my clients tell me we already have this. We're just going to split it with the team and with the general contractor and with one other party. It's already paid off. We're just going to send everything to you. So yeah, so people send me, hey, we're interested in this job. We're the window manufacturer, the furniture manufacturer, the people that did the rubber seams in the roof, and I just make a PDF, send it to them, charge them $400 an image. Unless they want a ton of images, then I talk to them about a package, rate or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, here's the PDF. If you want more than 10 images, let me know, and we'll find a way to make it reasonable without it costing $50,000 to buy, whatever. So that's how I generally handle third party requests. I don't enjoy doing it. I would much rather be just shooting more than being in my office trying to chase people down. I've also found that my clients pay me every single time, always on time, mostly on time, and the third parties, it's like you bill them and then 60 days goes by and they're overdue, and then you remind them and then they're like, oh yeah, and then you got to remind. It's like those people, the clients are going to pay you, and because they want to work with you again, and these other third parties are less inclined to do so, or it's more wrangling, I guess, which I don't like. But I do. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, Yeah, it is a little loose. I regulate it primarily through trust. I have however many clients, and I've worked with many of them for a long time. Um, and I check in with them about it. Sometimes some of my clients will, at the end, they'll send me a list of whichever parties have bought access to the images. Um, I don't think really anyone's abusing it. I did have to like correct somebody once because they were thinking that dollar sign figure was my invoice plus all of their costs, like their time on however many people they sent to the shoot, and I had to correct them and be like, no, like that's not. You're writing off my time, not your time. So yeah, so that's how I do it. Yeah, no problem. Everyone has a different way. You know, there's tons of different ways, but I I found it's a good. Sorry, I'm letting a couple more people in here. I found it's a good way to do it since I'm busy enough that I just don't want to be chasing down 20 people on. I mean, I shoot 100 jobs a year, roughly. You know, 80 to 120, I guess, and it's just me. I don't have, you know, a group of people working for me or whatever. So that's how I do it. Mm-hmm. Who's next? Anybody? Or go ahead. Yeah, fair, fair, fair. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. No, I hear you. Yeah, no problem. Ian asked, "Do I is that a question for everyone, Ian, or just for me?" Ian's asking if I use a rep or any other kind of third party to edit, etc. I don't have any other help. I do all my post production, retouching, books, everything. It's not smart. I have trained retouchers, only to have them then leave after a couple months and then have all the retouching to do their own work, which has been not my favorite thing that's happened. I'm not saying it isn't possible. When I worked at Hedrick Blessing, we definitely had, you know, retouchers on staff. I was actually the main retoucher there for quite a while when we had our master retoucher leave, who had been training me. Um, so that's part of the reason that I don't have a retoucher, is that I'm very fast at it, and I have never found it to be like, if I need to be marking images up, sending them to somebody, downloading them back, and then checking their work, I could have just done the work in that time. So that's why I've never had, you know, someone doing it for me. I definitely am feeling the pain more than I used to. I used to just, you know, get excited, jump in, produce the work. Um, it still happens when I have a project I'm super excited about, but sometimes it's just not that exciting to, you know, drop windows in and take out exit signs and clean up the floor scratches and stuff. It gets to be like, why am I spending my time this way? I know there are solutions. Again, I'm bad at change, so I just keep doing it the way I've been doing it. Yeah, I mean, you know, it varies. I would say, you know, I average maybe 15 images a day, right? Um, so this job is 13 images. The next job is 11 images. Uh, the next job is 40 images. But that was 2 days. That's just images produced. So yeah, like the numbered images are just images that are delivered. I genuinely, or genuinely isn't the right word. I I usually don't like shoot anything that I don't deliver. I You know, this is 2 days worth of work. I don't Pretty much myself and my clients make decisions about the work, and then I deliver that work. I don't really make a bunch of images and then let people pick what images they want, because I think that's a waste of, you know, waste of time when we could be making, you know, solid images that are that we could make them better, right? So a lot of the time you know, we scout, you know, whatever you want to say. We walk the site. They have an idea of what they want. We've talked about what might be, you know, something that we deliver, and then we are ambitious. We try to do that plus more, because there's always room to find images that they didn't plan on. That's the beauty of the collaboration, right? Like they have a story to tell. You need to be able to deliver a set of images that tells that story, but they don't know exactly what you're capable of seeing. So, all clients should have the ability to like let you find some pictures. I'm definitely not a photographer that like, I'm fine with having a shot list going in as long as there's room to ignore that shot list when it's appropriate to ignore, right? So this is 2 days worth of work. There's some different versions, with doors closed, with and without people, things like that. But yeah, I don't even remember what your initial question was, but yeah, that was a fun project. I can't believe we had the Northern Lights on that one. Did I answer the question? Okay, good. Good. hmm I do. Not off, not often, but I do. It's usually for dust shot reasons, right? Like it's usually to capture, more than one dusk or dawn. Um, it used to be, you know, back when I used the view camera with the phase, the digital back, I used two cameras a lot more because it was a lot harder to be swift with that thing than it is to be swift with than Canon or Fuji now. um I always try to plan my dusks and dawns accordingly, right? So like I can probably illustrate the point in this project. Hopefully, let me right. So if you're shooting a dawn shot, right, this was looking north west. Is that right? Northwest. Anyways, you can look away from the or you can look toward the bright light and then away from the bright light at dawn and vice versa at dusk, so that like the dusk sky behind the project is you know I'm doing a poor job of saying this. You all probably know this anyways, right? Like if you're setting up a dust shot, you don't want to be looking into the sunset for the first dust shot, because where the sun sets, the dusk is gonna happen last, right? So you want to be looking away from dusk toward the east part of the sky at sunset. Yeah. So yeah, now I can usually make two dust shots with one camera, maybe three, but I still definitely have a backup and will run a second camera if there's a reason to, and not just for dusk. If there's some other reason, if we only have people at a certain time and we need to have two shots all set up, I'll sometimes do that too. But yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, right. No, I hear you. It is. I will say that my intuition has gotten a lot better, just through repetition. I had, when I was an apprentice, I had Scott McDonald, who was a photographer I used to work with at Hedrick Blessing, over for dinner one day. And I asked him, I had been working there for a year and it was so overwhelming. I was assisting uh, Steve Hall primarily, Scott McDonald, Craig Dugan, Dave Burke, Kate Joyce, Nick Merrick, and John Miller. Um, so I was out with all these different people. They were all so talented, and it was amazing to me that I would see them look at a building, and they would walk to a place far away from the building, right? And they would set down their tripod, and they would move their tripod, but it was like inches or a foot or a couple of feet. It was never like they set their tripod down and then they were like, well, let's look at it 10 feet over this way and then we're going to pull forward 30 feet. It's like they could see through their lenses in a way. And I've found that I've gotten much better at that just through, years and years and hundreds of jobs. I oftentimes will be, frantically running around at dusk or dawn, and I will just see the picture, set my camera down, and there it is. And then I'll try to resolve all my tangents by, scooting my tripod around to make sure that I don't have a tree branch in the edge of the house right on the same line or whatever. But, I think that the more you do it, just the more practice you get. That's what I tell young people who are starting. It's just like shoot so many pictures, is that, you just need to get your brain there. So, yeah. Anybody else have a question? There are many of you here. Yeah, both both of those things. So I charge hourly rate up to 8 hours, and then it's just the day, So a lot of the summer days are 8 hours and then 12 and whatever. It's all the same price once it's a day. So I have a day rate, and then I have a per image fee for delivered images, which again, if we make 15 images in the field, I almost always deliver 15. There are definitely exceptions to that. If we are there for 2 days or whatever, and George, you look tired. Why are you wiping your eyes? It's like 6 in the morning there now, or 5 in the morning. You should be fine. It's yeah, if I'm happy to throw an image away if we make a better version of it, right? Like if the light's better the second day or whatever, yes, I'm gonna throw that away. But if the client, like, if the image was made, there was a reason we made it. Again, sometimes on these huge jobs we're there for 3 days and we're making all these pictures. Sometimes we have an idea and we just do much better later, and we just that image is no longer necessary. I might throw out a shot or two on a 40-shot job, but it's not like I'm running around making 100 pictures and delivering 40. So yes, day rate up to 8 hours, and then it's a day, or hourly up to 8 hours, and that's a day. And I don't generally charge for less than half a day, right? Like if someone needs me to come out and make 3 pictures and it takes 2 hours, I'm charging them. I tell them up front, like, it's going to be a half day, right? I'm going to charge you 4 hours for it at minimum. So if you want more pictures, like, tell me, because we'll make more. But I'm not going to charge you $600 or $800 or whatever to come out for 2 hours or something. Because I could just not take the job and produce images, or I could go and find another, take a different job, because enough jobs are coming in. And then, yeah, per image fee. I don't charge for alternate versions because it's very easy and quick to do them if you're doing it right? Like if I'm producing an image that has more than one version. Why is there? Oh, this is let me just throw this back in Bridge. It should literally be a matter of moments in Photoshop for me to do a version with people and then without, right? Because usually I'm producing the image without people, and then I'm dropping in the people, into the perfect version without people, and then same goes with like a version with a door closing or something to show off some millwork. Yeah, this one was kind of annoying because someone walked by and brushed that little piece of sculpture on the wall, but yeah, so I don't charge for that. And then expenses on top of that. So it's basically just 3 lines for me. It's time per image and then expenses. My day rate is around $3,000 a day. My per image rate is $125, and then expenses are just literally my assistant, mileage, parking, food, tolls, planes, whatever. Every single dollar that's spent just goes straight to the client as spent. So yeah, usually it's around $5,000 a day plus, expenses or whatever for me. Yeah, my pleasure. No, it's okay. Yeah, no problem. Let me just pause for 1 second. I have a couple of different I've chat over here in YouTube and I have chat over here in Zoom. So let me just quickly scan this. Aspect ratio. Yes. Okay. So Peter Seck was asking, until I discovered your portfolio, I was stuck in the idea that if I crop a photo, I should keep my camera's aspect ratio, in my case, 3:2. You clearly don't follow this rule, instead adapting the crop to suit each specific subject. Yes. I don't think aspect ratios are a good idea in most cases for starters. And then second part, and I'll elaborate that on that, but you have a second part of the question, which is, do you already crop while shooting tethered, or do you refine and establish the final ratio during post-processing? Have you ever had a complaint from your client about different aspect ratios? No, I have not had a complaint. They've cropped my images a lot, which has annoyed me, but they're going to do that whatever you do it. You're never going to escape crops. And that's why I got in a fight with Arc Record last year. But aspect ratios, there are plenty of photographers out there that stick to aspect ratios and think they're important and do beautiful work, and I respect that. That's great. I don't, because I don't think we see that way, right? Like, I think we see in a very, complicated way, and sometimes you see I'm just trying to make a good image, and I don't care if it's a vertical panoramic, and I don't care if it's a long, narrow image or square, if it has to be. I don't know why I don't love square images, but I think I've just been forced into the Instagram square for too long that I just get anxious when I get close to square. But no, I mean, I definitely will shoot vertical or horizontal and things like that for reasons, right? Like if I know that an image is going to be published, or if I know that a project's going to be published and people are trying to get covers, then I will make sure to make some hero shots that are verticals. I also have clients that have websites that are very panoramic, and they're like, hey, we have a website and we love it when you use this aspect ratio, or when we, and I'll think about that. I'll let it inform my decision making when I'm shooting. But primarily I'm just trying to make the best image I can, and I'm not gonna worry if it's, every one of my images is gonna have a little bit of a different aspect ratio, I'm sure, and I don't care. Okay, but my exception would be during series-based work. Here you go. Here are my crops, in the field to the raws. There's crops on every single shot, and they are different, right? Yes, I am definitely cropping. I mean, look at that crop right there, right? Like, this is not a good picture. It's a necessary picture, but there you go. You can see why I'm cropped where I am on the left side there. Sometimes I don't end up with a crop. Oftentimes, I'm cropping some portion of a thing out. Myself and my assistant were laying next to this bed, pulling down as hard as we could on the sheets to make them straight, and my client took the photo. Yeah, look at there's an aspect ratio for you. Who needs all that sky? I don't need it. Yeah, so no, I don't believe that aspect ratios are important. Another quick question: do you use a stylist or assistant? I love using stylists. I get to use one about once every 2 years. I wish I could use them all the time. They are so good at what they do, and I have found that a stylist does an important thing, which is be a third opinion, and it's an opinion that's coming from a place that isn't necessarily from an architectural position, right? So oftentimes you'll get into the weeds with your client about a thing, and it's usually in interiors, and it's usually in a kitchen. You're trying to wiggle a bowl 50 times, and then you change it out for a plate, and then you change it out for a different bowl, and then you get a vase, and then you get a flower, and then you're tipping the flower back and forth, and then in 45 minutes has gone by, and it sucks, right? Because it doesn't, it matters a lot, but it only matters to a point, and a stylist can say a thing, right? They can say like, oh, you know what I think this needs? I think this needs a metal whatever, and they put it there, and both of the other parties can say like, yeah, I can accept that. Like, that isn't exactly what I wanted, but it's not the other thing, and they're the expert. So like, let's just do it and move on. So it speeds up things. It offers like a, you know, a third opinion. An assistant I use on every job, almost. Uh, Sometimes I like to work alone. If I'm just doing like exteriors in a city, a high building, it's still very nice to have an assistant because you can just leave them with your camera and walk for blocks and then come back and get it and not have to carry everything. But every so often there's a job and I'll just go and do it alone because it's nice to just sit and watch the light change for like 2 hours without being like feeling conscious of another person being like, this is, I'm just standing here, why are we still standing here? But generally I have very good relationships with assistants. I call them apprentices because I try to carry on the same standard that I came under at Hedrick Blessing, where you know, there was a super mentor-mentee relationship. So I had a couple of assistants at Hedrick Blessing, Kendall McCordy and Corey Gaffer, both of which are very talented and excellent photographers. And I'm super, super proud of every one of them. And every time they get a job that I don't get, I'm very excited that they got it. Brian Griffin is my first assistant that I hired when I left. And he got kind of stunted by COVID, and we had kind of had some momentum for him going in 2020. And then anyways, he's really off on his own now. He's doing great work. And then I have another assistant now that I've been using for the last year and a half, named Andre. So yeah, and then I've worked with several other great folks that have been more freelance. You know, I use them when my other people are busy. But assistants are super valuable. Some people treat their assistants like a person to carry their bags, and I treat my assistants like a collaborator, another pair of eyes. You know, when you're making a picture, particularly when there's 10 clients and there's a lot of moving parts on an interior job and you're lighting and you're doing all the things, it's really easy to get tunnel vision, right? Like you'll be making a picture and you'll get super worked up about a relationship between a sofa and a chair, and you'll be moving it a bunch of times and you'll totally miss something else. And if you have the right collaborator, the right assistant who you're working with, they will point it out to you in a way that's appropriate. They won't say like, hey, you missed this in front of your client, but they'll say, hey, do you want to check on the light that you set back there? Or like, hey, I know you talked about we need to be out front for the light or whatever. You know, it's super helpful to have another pair of eyes there to, you know, keep you in check and keep you moving in the right direction. Plus, I have to tell you, I've had plenty of photographs that assistants have seen and been like, hey, what do you think about this? And it's a great shot. And I'm not going to not make it. You know, I'm going to say to my client, you know, hey, Brian just pointed this out. I think this is a great shot. I think we should make it. So, you know, it's really nice to have a relationship with a person who can, you know, give you good ideas and keep you moving. Plus, it's just fun when you're traveling all the time. It can be really nice to have another person to talk, you know, through stuff with at the end of the day or whatever. Plus, my back is wrecked from moving all the gear, and it really helps to have another person to help move stuff. So yeah. I'm not. No, primarily I travel on days that I shoot on. I try not to, you know, if it's a couple of days shoot, I try to travel on the day and travel back on the day. It doesn't always work. Usually I'm traveling on a day, shooting, and then coming back the next morning or whatever. But I don't charge travel time. I obviously charge all the travel expenses and everything, whatever it costs. But yeah, I don't. I maybe should, but I don't know. I don't know. I maybe should. I feel like I should have like a just a not like my day rate, but I should probably have a flat, fee for, whatever. But I don't know. Also, those traveling shoots, they balloon so quickly, particularly because you know, they always get something gets pushed and you got to rebook flights, and then it's $600 more per ticket, and you got two tickets, and then suddenly you're charging $4,500 in expenses and $6,000 in photography time. And I hate to say like, oh, also there's an extra $1,000 that and now they're paying more for me to get there and get back than they are to have me do the photography work. So yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, just whatever the standard rate for, in the United States, it's whatever is 62 cents and a half or whatever a mile. I just charge that. Yeah. Plus tolls or whatever else. So, yeah. Mhm. Okay, there were several more questions over here. Yes, we can type a question over here. So some people are chiming in over in the Zoom comments, and that's great. I will try to go through a couple of those quickly. Prospect, Crafty, yes, Crafty is located out in Jackson, in Wyoming, I think. Um, do I have any specific lines in my contract that have been inspired by crazy situations on site? I don't. I don't have a contract. I generally just do photos and people pay me for them. I try not to have contracts in either direction. Um, I haven't had too many crazy situations on site. I mean, like everyone, I have stories. Like I've arrived on a traveling shoot to a big biotech building, and there was no furniture in the whole building, and it's like we were supposed to do interiors. It's like, things have happened. It's like, you know, somebody got charged for that one, but you know, generally I have good relationships and haven't had too many bad situations on site. Portfolio review. Doing this for 2 years out of Connecticut. Very slow start. Very slow start. I'm interested to hear what that means. Okay, I'm gonna pull up your portfolio here. This is from TJW. If you're on Zoom, feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. And just a second, you said Connecticut? Connecticut. Okay. Okay. Let's just take a quick look at this. George, I don't know why yours is loading so slowly. Everyone else's seems to be loading quickly. Yours loaded just fine the last time we did this. I looked at it, I mean. So I don't know what the deal was, man. Oh, it's okay. No, I'm sure it's me still. Yeah. Yeah, so just to make you feel better, I just tabbed over to yours, and this just loaded like almost instantly. So something just must have been inappropriately timed there. Like you see, I clicked over here, it's all loading quickly. So I think it was just a moment in time that was problematic. So don't feel bad. Yeah. Uh-oh. Okay, so back to this portfolio. Just gonna see it was there. Okay, so we're just in the portfolio section. Looks like you have a few different uh, categories here. Projects. So I'm assuming each of these is its own portfolio. It is. Okay. And then post-production. Ah, I see. This is heavy-handed. Yeah. You're a little bit heavy-handed. I would be very careful with your post-production, right? You're taking things a little too far, I would tell you. It's definitely easy to slide sliders too far, or whatever, but things get very rendery very quickly, particularly with this top image. um, this color move you did with the lightning, is you need to be able to see the line of this this roof line. I can even see it here, right? Like there's a sloping ceiling here. You should be able to see it. I'm assuming these are blended images and things, which is good. It looks like you're doing a good job of, you know, blending things. It looks like we've got some issues with trees that moved here. If you're going to do a sky replacement and you're going to shoot it on in the same location, I would recommend only doing that if it's a perfectly still day, right? So if you're going to do a sky replacement, let me just pull up an image quickly for you here that I know has trees in it. Probably the pool pavilion, right? This picture. So if you're replacing a sky, you either need to do it using the sky replacement tool, and do it with a sky that you have sourced yourself, right? Like, so I rarely will replace skies, but when I do, I have every once in a while when there's a good sky, I'll just turn my camera, try to get as little horizon as I can and as much sky as I can, right? You can use the sky replacement tool and let it do the job, but don't use the same sky, or like every single leaf moved in that picture, right? And it looks these are just the stock ones or whatever from Photoshop, but you're not gonna have, and whenever you do this, like, don't just accept what comes out of the box. Like, you got to go back and then deal with some of these masks. This is always super HDR-y, but you know, you have a good mask here if you want to do it that way. An even possibly better way is to if you know how to use luminosity masks, okay, you want to this is gonna get technical for a second, gang, but bear with me, okay? Usually it's your blue channel, okay? So you're going to make a separation, and you're gonna make a perfect mask that goes around every one of these leaves. So you're gonna take your blue channel, you're gonna duplicate it, okay? And then you're gonna adjust the curves on the channel to separate your sky from all of these leaves, right? I'm gonna do this dirty, okay, for just a second, just to show you what I mean, okay? So we're gonna exclude everything else. Again, you're gonna actually do this correctly because your clients are paying you to do it, and you're not doing it in 20 seconds to show a bunch of people. But okay, so there I have a sky mask that I made in 20 seconds, right? And now I can take any other random sky that you want and mask that in, okay? So I have some skies here. I don't know what this is, but we'll just grab it, okay? We're gonna move this over to image number 1. Is that one? Yeah, okay. There's the difference between Canon and Fuji right there, kids. Let me just make this way bigger. Okay. And then you're gonna apply that mask to it, right? So now you have a sky drop in that respects every little leaf without you having these halos around every leaf, right? Because you had trees that shifted, and then you got ghosts for every single one. So just, yeah, make sure that when you're doing the work, like, I think one alarm bell sounded is going to put people off of you pretty quickly. Yeah, so just be careful with that. Otherwise, portfolio wise, I don't mean to be hard on you about a very specific thing, but it's just an example of like where you might get yourself in trouble. Yeah, I mean, pick your strongest images for your portfolio, and I would say do some work on what I would call balancing the tires, right? Like the images should all feel very cohesive, right? This image is feeling a little bit green and a little bit cyan to me. This one is feeling super neutral and nice, you know. This one feels a little yellow, especially as it's dusk. You know, that, I mean, I don't know, maybe this paint was really warm, but your images are just a little bit, you know, left and right, and they need to feel like one photographer made them with a very clear vision. Nice, you've got a person in the photo, New Canaan. Yeah, this photo I think you can just get rid of. You know, like this isn't a portfolio picture. If you need to make pictures, like just go make them. Don't wait for somebody to hire you. Like just go make nice photos of other buildings. Yeah, I again, like I said earlier, I think people are going to hire you to shoot projects. You have some nice residential work in here. You know, I would push that to the front. The aerial view is nice, right time of day, too green, a little too red. Yeah, just work on color a little bit. The shots too just needs a lot of magenta. Your greens will look greener if you take green out of them, because they need to contrast with grays and other colors that don't have green in them. I can just open this in Photoshop quickly and explain that. There it is, okay. Yeah, so if you just take some green and probably some yellow out of this, your greens will green up very quickly, right? Yeah, they're definitely too yellow as well. Yeah, see how the greens now look like there's way more nuance in your greens. You have yellow greens, you have forest greens, you have deep dark greens, instead of them all being like this rather radioactive green. Maybe needs a touch of red because it's a little bit cyan, and there you go. Like that feels much closer to how your eye would read it. Yeah, just be careful with your colors. You just need to smooth out some of the hard edges on things. Yeah? All right, was that too technical? All right, Geomorph, I'm going to get back to you in just a second, okay? I'm going to read some of these other ones. How do you know when you're good enough to go after bigger clients and raise your prices? That's a good question. Yeah, you should be your harshest critic on things, but you should also be kind of forever chasing more clients. I mean, yeah, it's hard to answer this question without maybe looking at your work specifically, but I would look at it less as like I'm here and I want to be there, and more of a what's the next step in the ladder, right? Like what's the one step above this job that I want to be working toward. I would also tell you that when you're working for architects, there's a tendency among architecture firms to see their work in two different facets, right? They have their good projects and they have the projects that maybe are less important but pay the bills, right? Like not everything can be a museum that they're doing. They have to do a lot of other projects that because they need to pay a fleet of employees, right? So there's definitely which I'll contradict myself here and say, like, I don't think that architecture firms should use two different photographers for these two different echelons of work, because it makes inevitably you have a good photographer and a less good photographer. But you know, look for ways in to shoot any project. Like it doesn't matter if it's the really good project. Like if they're going to give you a chance at any project, take it, because you can show them what you're capable of and move your way up into those better projects. When I was starting out, I had a client who did a lot of work, a ton of work. I've done over 100 photo shoots for them. And they had me shooting the good projects. You know, they had me shooting the 5 good ones a year, and they had another photographer shooting, you know, another 5 or whatever, maybe more, that were less good. And their website, the other photographer was not doing the work justice, and it was already more paint and drywall kind of work. So their website was rough because they had these really nice projects that looked really good, and they had these other projects that looked really rough. And I sat down with them and I said, you know, if I was a client of yours, I would wonder, like, which architecture firm am I getting? Like, am I going to get the one that does the good projects, or am I going to get the one that does these bad ones? Like, give me a chance to shoot the less good projects. We'll find a way to keep the budget small, you know, like, agree to just make 5 pictures of these projects. You don't need 20 pictures. Have me make 5 pictures and have somebody on your staff take a bunch of iPhone photos of the stuff you need to have for your own, you know, internal uses. And they agreed to it mostly, and we do it, and we do it to this day. And we just try to elevate the hell out of those, you know, rough projects. We go in and we look for the moments that are the best, even if they're, you know, we get a couple overalls, but then we get 3 strong vignettes, because there's always a couple nice things on the project. And if you can show a client that you can elevate their work, right, they're gonna keep using you to do even better work, because, you know, they can see what you can do with the harder stuff. So I know that's a little bit of a convoluted way to answer your question about being good enough to go after bigger and better clients, but yeah, I would just look at it as like a walk up the stairs, not just like hurdling your way all the way to working for, you know, BRK Ingalls or something. Thank you, Christopher. Your page is down. Send the Instagram. Yeah, feel free to send it to me. You know, whenever, anytime. There was. Let me go back to YouTube. I've got all these irons in the fire. Hi from Vancouver. Do you edit all your images? Yes, I do. It looks like we've covered the text questions. Does anyone else have questions here? I'm happy to go for another maybe half hour, and then I gotta rest. Yeah, I used to do a lot more of them. I do less now. I find that scouts are really good. This is a good question. Scouts are really good when you have, in a couple different situations, right? When you have a client that you haven't worked with a lot, it's really helpful to scout, because part of being an architectural photographer is educating clients, right? It's good to, people don't really understand the process, right? Some people understand it very well, not everyone. So having a chance to go in and walk a site with a team before you get there and photograph or not. Sometimes I just walk a site and we talk about it. Sometimes they want me to make a bunch of scouting photos and then deliver them. So I'm able to talk through the project with them, and sometimes they're like, oh yeah, we need 25 pictures of this project, and we walk through it, and I can at the end of the thing say, let's talk about this number, right? Let's talk about 25 pictures. Like, I think there's 12 here. You know, why do we need 25? And they might tell me why, and I might say, okay, I understand. But oftentimes they're like, you're probably right. Maybe there's 15 because we need a couple things to tell a story, whatever, you know. So that helps. The second thing is there's a particular need for scouting when you have interior architects in a big firm and there's a ton of hands in on the project, many of which aren't in a position to be on the shoot, right? So you have these big firms like Perkins and Will, Gensler, SOM, HOK, interior architects, then the list goes on, right? And it isn't just a few people that worked on the project and they're just going to be on the shoot with you and they're going to be able to talk stuff through with you right there. If everyone feels like they got to like put their finger on the project and say like, make sure you get a picture of the tile behind this thing because we spec'd it and it's our only time we've spec'd it and I want to spec it again. Or whatever the situation is, the partners who have been there forever and they don't go on shoots but they lead the projects and they say, well, I want the overall to be an elevation of the lobby, or whatever. There's 30 different things, but if everyone feels like they got to just see what's going to happen and talk to somebody about it, then when that issue comes up on the shoot and they say, hey, person X, the partner back at the firm, wanted this lobby shot to be an elevation, and I say, there's a column here, I can't make this an elevation, look. They can then go back and say, hey, Tom tried to make the elevation, he didn't make it, this is why. And they say, okay, thank you, rather than getting back and saying like, oh, we didn't know it wanted it to be an elevation, we made this other shot that was better. And then they say, well, I wanted an elevation, and they're mad, and then whatever. So it helps for those big jobs. It doesn't hurt to walk through a space and think about it and know, okay, we want to make sure we really are over in this part of it in the morning because it's going to get great light. But as I've gotten busier and as I've worked with clients so many times and we've scouted lots of projects together, they oftentimes now know what I would say on the scout anyways, and when they come to me with the job, they say, hey, we want to shoot this project, it has east faces, can you look at this floor plan? And I can say, yeah, definitely, let's make sure we're there at 6 a.m. rather than 8 a.m. or whatever, because we want to be set up for that sunrise over Lake Michigan or whatever. So I think as you work with clients for longer and longer periods of time, you need to scout less and less because you know what they want, they know what you can do, everyone's on the same page. But it is nice. I mean, if you have the room in your schedule and you can just go and walk the site with them, it almost always helps in one way or the other. So yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yes, that is a luxury, and yes, you're right, there's almost always something wrong. um, Sometimes it's so wrong that you're like, how are we doing this right now? This is not the right time to be doing this. um, it's nice to catch those on scouts. I have a lot of situations where like, hey, we have to shoot this building because we have to go to media with it. We have to do this. There's the client will only let us in at this time, whatever. So a lot of the times I just have to like just work so hard. I mean, you name it, just about. We've done it. We've taken apart fences, construction fences, and moved them. You know, I mean, we've done so much stuff. It's kind of part of what I like about the job is like just this crazy problem solving, and like if you can think of a way to do it and the camera can't tell, it's fair game, right? Like we have cut trees out of the woods behind a house and hung them because the landscape isn't, we've done all kinds of stuff, but trees, saplings, we've done just about everything you can. But yeah, I mean, it is very nice when you can catch something before it's a huge problem in your face. um yeah, it is nice. um Josh, hey, Josh Groth says, advice on best way to gain clients when moving to a new market or city. Good question. Question for you and anyone else that may have any insight. Maybe the better question is, any tips and advice on how to expand from 3 or 4 clients to 10 to 15? The best way to expand from 3 to 4 to 10 to 15 is 2 years, because every single person at that firm is either going to work somewhere else in 2 years, or they're going to have worked with you a couple times and told their friends about you. The best way to network in this is just to work with people, take everyone on the shoot seriously, because A, you should anyways, but B, all those people, if they work with you and they appreciate it, like they're gonna move on and they're they're gonna grow. I mean, I don't market or whatever at all. I never really have. I You'd be amazed at how many of my emails start with, "Hi, I'm this person. I used to work here," right? Like, I used to work here, and it's 6 years later, or 4 years later, or 2 years later, and now I work over here. We've never worked with you before. Will you give us a quote for this project? And then once you're in the door, it's up to you. You know, you can finish the job. But trying to mute somebody. Okay. So that is, I know that isn't the nicest, like, oh, it's, you know, if you've moved to a new market and you need more clients, it's not easy to wait years for that. But it's the best way for sure. The other way is to have a good portfolio to understand a sense of place, right? Like, I think if people want to work with somebody locally, they want to do it because, like, you understand the local vibe, if you want to put it that way, like, right? Like, you understand the seasons, right? Like, I work a lot of different places, right? I traveled, I don't know, I was on 44 airplanes this year, so whatever that means. But I will oftentimes literally ask the client or the local client or whoever it is, like, hey, I'm coming to Calgary in November. I will understand light angle from here. Like, you know, what are the leaves like? What is the wind like? What is the, you know, what can I expect? And oftentimes I will be able to glean a little bit of information from that. You know, when I walk around in Chicago, Chicago's easy because it's on, you know, the Burnham plan. It's on a north-south grid. So, you know, when I walk or when I look at a building, an address, I can literally tell my client oftentimes, like, we need to shoot this shot at 3:40 in the afternoon, like down to the 10-minute interval. And I'll be, you know, pretty close. But, you know, when you're working somewhere new, I think it's important to, like, be able to quickly understand, like, what the light is like, what the fog is like, you know, whatever the local atmosphere is like. It's good to be a local. Other than time, though, it's hard for me to be able to be like, here's the trick to just get a bunch of new clients. But I would also try to enter a market respectfully, because, you know, if it's a smaller market, like a, you know, St. Louis, or like a, you know, mid-sized city or something, you're probably gonna have 3 other photographers who are like, have been there for 20 years and are working with all their friends. And it's really, you know, you don't want to alienate those people. And you also have to understand that, like, these relationships are so long. I mean, many of my clients, like, I hang out with their children now, and their kids and my kids, and, you know, we like, I take them fishing and, like, do all kinds of random stuff with them. And you stand and watch sunrises with these people, and you, like, travel all over the place, and you make these really deep, close relationships. And when you're entering a new market, that's what you're up against, right? So, you know, I wouldn't say, like, hey, I'm the new guy, I'm big, I'm here, I'm ready to do all the heavy lifting. It's like, you know, say, hey, I'm sure you have relationships with photographers, and, you know, I respect that. I would love it if there's a shoot, you know, that you can give me a chance on. I'd love to have a chance to show you what I can do. And, you know, you have to just kind of slowly slide in and do the thing. But Ian, you had, like, raised your hand in the Zoom. Oh, you typed. Trends in photography that get you excited about the future, or what are you trying to bring into architectural photography that you want to see as we move forward? Was that your question? Yeah. Yes. Nice. I like it. I appreciate that. It is winter. It's good. That's the time. It's time to knead the dough. Trends in photography. Well, since I started, you know, people are very important, and I like that. I like that a lot. You know, I think architecture is for people. I get excited when, I mean, I put people in almost every one of my shoots, you know, and almost in every one of my shots. I try to even do that in residential. It doesn't always make sense to do that in residential, but I still look for any opportunity to do it, right? So, I have, you know, residential portfolio or residential job. There's people in every one of these photos, probably, right? Even the vignettes like this. Um, I still try to put people in them. So I will happily, deliver versions with and without people, but I appreciate that it's less heroism about architecture these days. I still definitely, like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of time. There's one with no people. See, this is a shot that we had to make because the CEO of the company, like, that was the sofa in the office when they started the company, and they, like, wanted a shot about the sofa, and I had to try to do my best to make it. And it's not my favorite shot, but the client likes it, the company likes it. Um, I also think there's a funny, like, when you get into residential architecture is when you get into more trendy stuff. I feel like, I feel like things are getting darker and moodier and much more about, like, oh God, let's get past that one. Um, you know, Things are getting more ambiently lit and less theatrically lit, which is interesting, right? Like, you have yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that there are trends and there are style, right? Like, I think that every photographer is very well suited to have their own style, right? Like, it's okay if you don't use people or if you use people really well or whatever, but people should want to work with you because your photo looks like a photo you took, right? Like, I literally have had people walk jobs with me and tell me, like, I'm working with you because I like the way your photos look. I'm going to tell you the story I need to tell for this building, but I want you to translate that for me, are my favorite clients to work for, because they tell me what they need and then I get them that, but I get to, like, pass it through the lens myself, right? Um, so I think it's okay to, like, drift within your style, right? But I think it's very dangerous to just chase whatever's, like, in at the moment. You have people being like, "Well, in interiors, all the lights have to be off now," and I'm like, "Forget that. I'm not. That's nonsense. Like, if it looks better with the lights off, that's fine. If it looks better with the lights on, the lights are staying on. Like, plus I'm gonna light too. Like, I'm not gonna. If it needs it, I'm gonna add light to it. So, um, I yeah, trends are dangerous, you know. But like, general, like, slow progression of the medium is important, right? Like, I think it's important to know how to use people in pictures, and you can do it in your own way. And it can be a blurred person, it can not be blurred, it can be a little thing for scale, it can be 10 people. Like, but, like, I feel like you should know how to do it the way that you do it, and same goes for whatever kind of lighting trends or whatever you want to say. Like, I think it's important to understand how that fits within your directive. But hmm, hmm, hmm. Interesting. I did not know that was a thing. That's interesting. Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's important to be thinking about for sure. There are definitely some people out there that are so good at always being like thinking about what the next opportunity visually is, right? And others who are not, they're just like, this is what I do. I don't, um, video 10 years ago was everyone was like, oh, should we be making videos at all these shoots or, and then now it's pretty clear, like you have people interested in video, you have good people that are good at video, you have, you know I never I always respected video too much to think I could do it, like I don't. I think that's another, like, a college degree basically, and I'm so focused on what I do. But I do think there's use in moving image, so I will primarily, almost exclusively from my drone, I will deliver little video clips, you know, moving or static with motion of the photos that I make. And again, not on every shoot, and even on the shoots I do, it's usually one or two or whatever. But I think there's definitely value in thinking about whatever the next way of seeing might be, whether or not you're going to be like the foremost, professional at that, um, or you have a team like George, right? You've got guys that do video with you. I think you're muted still. There you go. Yeah. Do you oversee, like, do you help them with like composition? Like, do you talk about like the frames with them at all ever, or do they just do their thing? Hmm. Great. Yeah, I mean, that's great that you've been able to, translate the vision to them. Um, I will say I one time worked with Spirit of Space. I don't know if you're all familiar with them. They're great. I went to school actually with both Adam and Red Mike. They're wonderful, and I had the chance to work with them uh, collaboratively one time. We went to France and then to Italy, and worked on two different projects. But they're extremely good storytellers. They're not so rigorously traditionally trained in the photographic side of it. And it was such a good collaboration because I was doing some photography, but I was sort of there half to just work with them on the vision for the formal vision of the work. And it was such a fun collaboration because they were just so good at telling the story, and I was able to just instill a lot of formal composition stuff to the work they were doing. And I had the tilt shift lenses and the architecture background. I mean, they have an actual architecture background, but what I'm getting at is, it's nice to collaborate with people who have the skill set that fits together with the skill set you have, rather than trying to do everything yourself. So, mhm. Sure. Yeah. Mm. Yes. I hear you. Yeah, I wouldn't even know. I mean, I did a little bit 10 years ago of learning, but I wouldn't even know how to begin, you know. Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to begin to do it. But I do think there's value when you're there to just, deliver these drone clips that are, it's like you don't have to have all the skill sets. And for a big company like Populous, who I did this building for, it's like they can take any little 2-second or 5-second piece of this, and they have teams working on videos for them for years to come. And to have these little assets is pretty valuable for them, and it takes literally seconds. I had already done the photographs at this moment, and any one of these little moments is helpful for them to have, and it doesn't cost me anything. I'm already there, pseudo legally flying a drone in Canada, and so it's I was very legal, but it was tricky. So yeah, I think there's value. There was a question: do I take the same lighting gear for all your projects, and can you tell us a little bit about your most versatile light modifier is? I do. I only have. I essentially, yes. I always carry the same lighting gear. I do have a little extra, like down in my gear, in my basement, that I take if I really know I'm gonna need it. It's usually if I'm shooting a restaurant at night, right? So you need all these little pools of light, and you have, I have an Inky lighting my my wall for light here right now. So I pulled that out of the basement today. If you need all these little pools of light on everything, it's helpful to have some extra stuff. But primarily I just bring strobes. I just have a couple of Paul C. Buff White Lightning, the biggest one they make, whatever that thing is called. I don't remember the number, 3500 or something. I use, 206 Lee 206 warming gels from 0 to 4 of them or whatever I need to balance out the light with the warmth of the light in the space. Primarily I'm using them at this point in my career for fill, less for direct light. I don't use my grids all that often. I definitely still use them every month, but not on every shoot. I'm not generally, it's just if I have to light a piece of art or something in a lobby, or it's usually art, or a little reception desk where everything else is well lit but the front of it is dark wood or something like that. But primarily I'm using them as bounces, either literally into a corner of a wall and a ceiling, or into an umbrella or a softbox. I have a couple of big umbrellas and one softbox that I carry with me, depending on if I need the lighting to be a little soft and directional, or if I need it to just be like a big wash. It'll but lighting is very important. I think there are a lot of photographers that if they learned a little bit about lighting would be better off. It's hard, right? Like it's hard to it's hard to do it without having somebody really. That's the beauty of being an assistant, you guys. Like that's the beauty of being an apprentice, is that you get to see all these situations, both handled well and handled poorly, and it helps you to handle the situations when you need to handle them, and it also helps you to know what not to do when a situation arises. And both of those things are important to learn. It's less costly to see somebody else mess up and then not mess up yourself than to learn the hard way. But learning about shape, learning about carving in shape is the thing you can do in Photoshop now, right? Like right back here, right? You've got 3 different planes. You can lighten them, and you can live in the masks forever and waste your days, or you can light set a light and have it done and have it look real. You can certainly mess shots up by lighting them very quickly as well. But what you can't replicate in Photoshop is texture, right? There's just a lot of millwork out there that has you know, all the different names for the things, but stone and millwork and everything else, it's like you can make these things just read correctly. You can't brighten them and darken them in a way that's correct in Photoshop. You can try to add contrast, but it's not going to be the same as lighting it. Yeah, I could try to pull up an example, but you guys understand. It's just trying to think of a shot that I recently did that it's important. Could go back to that one. Anyhow, I hope. How would you recommend becoming an assistant? I would reach out locally and just tell the photographers in your area that you're interested in it. You know, I'm always looking for more assistants. It's hard to find good assistants. It's hard to find assistants that are doing the right thing, right? Like, you want assistants that are there to learn, that are there to contribute, that aren't putting their foot in their mouth by, you know, telling the client that they see a good picture that you missed or some nonsense. But they're there to be on the team to learn and to work. You know, I get a few people every year that reach out. If they're local, I say, yeah, let's go. I'll take you on a shoot as either a second assistant, or if it's something that I know it's going to be a slower paced day and I'll have time, you know, I'll just bring them out and have them be my assistant and pay them and, you know, all the things always. But whether they're second assistant or first. But yeah, I mean, I think if you reach out, and the one thing you want to be careful about is saying like, hi, I'm an architectural photographer. I'm trying to get more work. You know, like you don't want to feel like you're going in to then take their clients away. But you usually shouldn't have to worry about that if you're a photographer who's like, you got it together, because if you have an assistant who works with you and then takes your clients, you might have a bigger problem there. But yeah, I mean, if you reach out, James, thanks for coming. If you reach out and tell somebody, you know, you're interested in learning and you're, you know, whatever the reason is you want to assist, tell them, and they're hopefully, I mean, if they're a photographer that works with assistants, hopefully they would give you a shot. So yeah. Okay. One more question, and it's 11 o'clock here, so no problem, Drew. Happy to help. I'll look over here and really quick. Oh, there is one more question. How do you manage doing drone and groundwork? Actually, there's a couple of questions over here in YouTube chat which I've been kind of ignoring, so I'll answer those and then call it a night, and then we'll try to figure out a date for the next one in February. How do I manage drone and groundwork? Oftentimes, drone work happens at a time where groundwork is happening, but it's not like the most intense part of the day. I will always manage my work where I have, you know, I'm giving time to the most important thing at the moment, right? So if there's a job that I know I'm going to have to fly the drone and it's going to take an hour, it usually never takes an hour, but if it's really going to interfere with something, I'll tell my client up front. I'll say like, hey, you know, if we want to do drone, it's going to cost us this. You know, we got to make a decision, either that or this, or we need to make sure we plan another time to come out to do the other thing. But yeah, drone photography, in my opinion, in my experience, I should say, oftentimes happens an hour to an hour and a half after sunrise and an hour to an hour and a half before the sun sets, because you have to have the light getting deep enough into the valleys to really illuminate the building, but you don't want it high where it's just every street is just like blasted with light, right? So, you know, you have those times are usually not when you're doing the big important exterior photographs, right? Like those are usually happening closer to sunset, you know, maybe 20 minutes or half an hour before, when you've waited for the landscape to all start to fall into shadow from the building casting shadow, or from the landscape casting shadows, and you want the light to just be perfect where it's hitting the whole building, but none of the landscape, or just a sliver of the landscape or what have you. But it's I'm just trying to see if there's a example I can show you. Drone work. This stuff was shot. Yeah, I mean, you see here, you have light on these I don't think are actually the finals. So you have light on the building. It's, you know, it's falling here, but it's still very high. You can see these shadows are just going across the street. They're not going all the way across the way. And then, you know, I'm doing the ground level exteriors at a time when we have better light for the building. They're not happening at the same time. So I think it's very manageable to do both. Over the course of a day, particularly if it's not a, you know, in the winter things get a little tricky with short days. But Kyle, do you license differently depending on usage? Like a large window manufacturer, how would you charge them differently than a local small firm? I wouldn't. $400 a picture for me, unless it's like very specific usage for like a huge advertising campaign for a car company or something. That would be different, maybe. I would probably get someone else involved to help me with that then. Okay, another one was, do your clients request architectural video, focus on photography, and almost videos overlook? Okay, so I sort of already answered this. I think video is amazing. I think it's really good at telling stories. I don't think it's the right thing for every project. Again, I refer my clients to good videographers. If they're looking for clips, I happily include them from the drone. Every once in a while, I'll take a little video clip with the thing if everything is just perfect, and there's people walking by and it's great. But yeah, I think video is great, and it definitely has its place. But yeah, not for me so often, and not for every project. So. Okay, I do have a lot of things to do tomorrow, so I'm gonna call it a day. And so the plan, thank you all, and sorry about the nonsense with the computer audio not coming through. I'm gonna figure out how to fix that in the month to come. So my plan is to do this every month this year, probably weekends. I'll vary the times because I had a lot of European folks lamenting the time. I did land it at 3 and 4 a.m. there. Respect to those who were able to wake up for it. George, particularly you. I think there was one other as well. But yes, I appreciate it. But yeah, I think this is great. If you have questions and I didn't get to them, I'm sorry. But yeah, we'll try to hit them next time. So yeah, my pleasure. It's good I don't think we've actually ever spoken either so it was nice to put a voice with we've been talking on Instagram for 5 years or something. So yeah, it was my pleasure, everybody. Thank you all. I'm glad we can have a non-adversarial photographer relationship, and yeah, we'll see you in February. And now I need to end this one over here. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.